everyone and welcome to another episode of the Jamie Hughes Show. My name as always is Jamie Hughes, and today, if you couldn't already tell, I'm going to be giving you my review of Ready Player One. Now, if you want to keep up to date with all the latest movie news and reviews, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. And as always with my videos, this review may include spoilers, so you have now been warned. Right. When I started recording this, I didn't realise that I was actually not going to be able to see anything, and I'm terrified that there's going to be somebody stood in front of me when I take these glasses off, so I'm going to take them off now, and then we'll jump into this review, so just bear with. Oh, man, can I steamy glasses? Ready Player One is an incredible action-adventure movie. I was so pleased at how great this movie was. I loved every minute of it. It was such an immersive experience. I was blown away by like just everything, every single aspect about this movie. It had a really great story, but the thing that I love the most about this film is the worlds in it and the world building specifically. Now, obviously, the Oasis is like incredible. Like the visual effects work in there. I don't think there was no point in this movie where I felt like there was any kind of bad CGI. Like it was obvious it was CGI, but it was so well done that it never once took me out of the movie. I was so immersed when I was in the Oasis. But I also want to focus on the kind of world building that happens in the real world. Because this movie's set in like 2045, I think it is, 2047, and it's like a real dystopian future, and I really think they did a great job in kind of having that huge contrast between the wonderful world of the Oasis and then kind of the terrible world of the real world of Columbus, Ohio. I really loved where Wade lived, the stacks, they were just really like built up of old camper vans, and everything just worked. It was so aesthetically pleasing, this film. I just loved every single aspect about the whole world of Ready Player One. And as I just mentioned, the Oasis is incredible. I want to point out a few scenes that I enjoyed the most. Obviously, there's a little bit of a spoiler here, so I'm just, again, a little bit of a spoiler, but obviously one of my favourite scenes is where they jump into the world of The Shining. That was so well done, and it just, everything was perfect about it. Everything was so like on point about what The Shining looks like. All of that was incredible. The race scene early on, we got like a T-Rex and King Kong. All of that was amazing. Then the huge battles we got on Planet Doom were incredible. I never ever, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I never ever knew I needed in my life Metal Godzilla versus the Iron Giant until I saw this movie. Let's make a movie about that. Let's scrap Godzilla versus King Kong. Let's have the Iron Giant versus Iron Godzilla. It was just incredible, and I can't stress enough about how immersive and how much of an event this movie feels. It was mind-blowing. There's actually some really great performances in Ready Player One as well. I thought the guy who played Wade, who throughout this movie I thought was Miles Teller, but it's not, and I can't remember his name. He was great, but my favourite performance of this movie was from Ben Mendelsohn, who played the evil Sotero, and all the way through this movie I was just like, he's like Commander Krennic from Rogue One. It was the same character. I think he's found his niche in Hollywood. He was really, really great, and he was such a douchebag, and I think he carries such an aura about him that you just can't help but hate him, and it was really nice to see. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that point. I just really enjoyed Ben Mendelsohn's performance. I thought he was the strongest out of all the characters, out of all the actors, but it was still a very strong cast throughout. All of the Easter eggs and references in this movie are awesome. Obviously, there are so many, from King Kong, which is all up in your grill. The Iron Giant, as I said, there's loads of little ones, which I think will take 4 or 5 viewings of this movie to kind of spot them all. I remember spotting Marvin the Martian really early on, and then I just can't remember because there was just so many floating around, like in the background. I was really looking out for E.T. I didn't spot him, so if any of you guys spotted him, let me know down in the comments below if you saw him. I think my favourite, as I said, other than The Shining, was the Chucky cameo, which came up completely out of nowhere but worked so well. And again, I didn't know I wanted a Chucky cameo in this movie until it happened. My only kind of, it's not criticism, it's more of a question, is that this movie is set in 2045, which it's fine, but there are a lot of 80s references in this movie, and I don't know whether that's something that's carried over from the book, but not to say I needed it explaining to me, but it just felt a little odd that a movie set in like a world that is in 2045 had so many like 80s references to it, because that's like 60 years in the past. I just felt maybe it would have made more sense to have like present day references or like 90s references. It just felt very stuck in the 80s, which I'm not saying is necessarily a bad thing. I'm just more inquisitive as to why that was, more than anything. But as I said, this is a really great action movie, and the only kind of like other criticism I have, and again, I don't want to be negative about it because it didn't really affect my enjoyment of the movie. It was only when I came out, I started thinking about this film for this review that this point kind of popped into my head, and that is that this is a really fun story. It's a really great timeline of events. There's loads of stuff going on, but what is the actual plot to this film? Yes, they want to stop Sotero from taking over the Oasis, but I actually had to think about this for a little while, but the only kind of motive we have from Sotero that he wants to take over the Oasis is so he can put adverts in it. And for how great this movie was, like for that to be the villain's motives did feel a little bit weak to me. And considering it's only mentioned kind of once, and then it kind of really like fast forwards, and we're just supposed to hate this guy for no reason. I know he kills Wade's like auntie and her boyfriend, which does start to elevate kind of the hatred towards him, but it did just kind of feel like we were supposed to hate Sotero just for the fact that he is like the boss of a big corporation. I just felt that they could have had maybe just a little bit more character development with him, and we really could have got an insight into him rather than him just kind of being a kind of one-dimensional evil kind of overlord. But again, like for how over the top everything is, everything else is in this movie, it still works. Do you know what I mean? Because you're still getting all of this awesome like action stuff going on and awesome effects. So, and I guess that's kind of more of the point here than the actual story. So yeah, didn't really affect my overall enjoyment. It was just something I thought about, and I just would have liked to have seen a little bit more being delved into in this movie. And just to wrap this review up, this movie is 2 hours and 20 minutes long, which I know sounds like a long time, but you get so immersed in this film that it doesn't feel like that. I know a lot of people get off by put off by like running times of movies, especially if they go over like 2 hours, but seriously, it's worth going to experience this movie in the cinema. As I said, maybe towards the end it does kind of drag a little bit in the film's third act. It just takes a little bit too long to get to the end point, but like for the most part you are so immersed in this movie. Like the movie theater I was in was silent when I watched this film. Everybody was so kind of sucked into this film that it's definitely an event and an experience worth going to see it in the cinema. Definitely go and see it in the cinema because you will not be disappointed. And yeah, to wrap this review up, what an awesome action adventure movie this is. A real kind of, I think this is going to go down as a groundbreaking classic. I know we've seen kind of other big 3D like immersive films come out over the past few years, but this one just felt like it hit everything on the head, and the way it walks between real life and the Oasis was just incredible, and I loved it. Seriously a contender to be one of my favourite films of the year. An ultimate immersive experience. So if you guys have seen Ready Player One, then let me know what you thought about it, as always, down in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video, then make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all the latest movie news and reviews. And I'll see you later, guys. I'm back off to the Oasis. I'll see you in the very next video of The Jamie Hughes Show. Ta-ra!